And you are now here with Unique, and we are here with.
Kellye, Howard. Hey.
Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself, Kellye. First off, what got you into acting?
What got me into acting?
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to be an actress since I was a young kid. My grandmother took me to my very first audition when I was like 8. It was a hand washing commercial. I remember Palm Olive, and I was like supposed to go in and do some random thing, and I didn't get it, and it wasn't like um a moment of where I was like, I'm gonna go be a star, but I knew that I enjoyed the experience of that and wanted to do more of it. So I
Right.
wasn't sure how that would manifest in my future, but I was like, oh, I like that. I want to be an actress when I grow up. And so yeah, and that was kind of the seed that was planted, and I wouldn't do it for years later. It would be
So,
years.
what got you into like comedy and different aspects of? You don't hear anything in my background, do you?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah. You good. Yep. No, stand up comedy I tripped into. I was actually working at Foot Locker, and I was working at two jobs. I was working at Foot Locker and TSA at the same time. So I was working two jobs, and I was in school full time at Columbia. So I was doing the most basically. And I was at Foot Locker, and this family came in there, and I didn't really know how to speak Spanish at the time, and so they were asking me for help. I mean, I was asking them for help, and they were saying that they didn't speak English. They were like, "Oh, me no speak no Inglés," and I'm like, oh, "Okay, well, I can't help you then, right?" And then they walked right outside, and I worked at the Foot Locker that was in the mall, so it wasn't like you had
Okay.
to get right. It was like an opening, and so
Yeah, like kiosks around it. You know what
right,
I mean?
exactly. Like you walk out, and then there's other
You know
stores
that
next to.
that, that reminds me of a mall out here, PG Mall. Like it's the same way. Like when
Right.
you
And
first
people don't
come
even
in, you
understand
see
the
the
concepts of malls anymore because we buy everything online. But yeah, so it's like a mall. And so they stood outside the mall. And this is back when like McDonald's and shit was in the malls. And so
right.
they stood outside the mall,
Just
I mean,
like it.
outside the door, and started talking perfectly good English. They was like, oh, I'm finna run over here to McDonald's real quick. Hey, you want something from over there? And they were like crisp English. And I was like, why they didn't just say they didn't need help? Like they didn't have to say me no speak no English. Like that's because that's what he said. He was like me no speak no English,
Right.
and I'm like, oh, okay, well I can't help you then. Just tell me you don't want help. Tell me you don't want to buy nothing right now. Like I would have respected that. And so I just started roasting them. I was like going ham. Like I was talking all types of stuff. And I don't even know what I said because this was so long ago. But it just happened to be a promoter in there at the time that was promoting stand-up shows. And he was like, yo, you are hilarious. He's like, have you ever tried stand-up? And I was like, nah. I was like, I'm in school for acting at Columbia. I was like, but stand-up comedy ain't never really been a thought of mine. And he was like, yo, he was like, please tell me you're willing to try it. I will give you 5 minutes on this spot at this over here around the corner if you're willing to try. And I was like, you know what? Why not? And
But
that's how I got into stand-up.
I hear stand up is the hardest form of comedy though, and that's something else that I told someone I interviewed, just stand up, that I hear that's the hardest form. You know what I mean? Cause
Stand-up can be,
making
I mean,
skits, that's something you're doing on the fly. But actually standing up in front of a live audience, like I still deal with jitters myself. Like I remember doing like poetry slams and bus boys and poets, like little stuff like that. And then I would get that nervous factor right before I'm about to get on stage. So I
you a
know
poet?
that feeling. And it's different from hip hop than poetry. Cause it's like now with this, I feel like poetry is closer to what you guys are doing because now it's like it's a quiet set and you got to speak for people and then you got to get through these lines and then sell it at the same time. That's crazy.
Yeah, stand up. They say that public speaking in general is one of the hardest things to do. People are afraid to publicly speak, which I think is becoming less and less because somebody got something to say everywhere you go now. You know
Nah,
what
for
I
real.
mean? So I don't know if those statistics are accurate, but I've always been like a class clown. You know, I got kicked out of two high schools for just doing the most. I've always been that kind of person I spoke my mind. I jumped out in front. I was pick me first. I was, that was me.
So you was
So
always just outgoing. It never was a thing where you was in your shell and you needed other people to break you out of that shell. You just okay.
no, I was always that kid.
Not not too
I'm a
unicorn.
middle child.
Butterfly.
I'm a middle child. I'm a middle child, and I was raised by my paternal grandmother up until age 10 when she passed away. So I was the only child in that house, but I had cousins and uncles and aunts. So it was like anywhere from 17 to 20 something people in that house at a time. And I was
Right.
the youngest. So being the youngest, you kind of are always vying for attention in that house. But then when I
Amongst how
moved
many siblings?
And then when I moved with my mom, so I have two siblings. I have an older brother and a younger sister, and I was the middle child. So
Okay.
that changes the dynamic completely. So I go from being this kind of only child at my grandma's house on my dad's side and being the youngest and kind of being coddled as the baby, and
Right.
then going over here to my mom's house where I'm the middle child, which I'm literally forgotten about. You know what I'm saying? Because the
Right.
youngest needs the most attention and the oldest gets to do whatever the hell he wants to. So
Nah,
the,
that's
the
real.
middle child is just like, but what about
It's
me though?
every
you
time
know?
because it's like they square they my daughter Riley deals with that. She's right in the middle, so
Yeah, that middle child syndrome is real. But I love it though, because I feel like I'm well rounded in that way where I can get in front of an audience and talk. I can hop on a live podcast and talk. I can, go on a set and do my thing and still be cool with people on sets and not feel weird, because that's the thing too. Like a lot of this industry is about connections. It's about who you know. Do they like working with you? Are you
nah,
an
that's
easy
real.
Yeah, are you an easy person to work with? Are you fun on set? Not necessarily always are you fun. Like you could be a really good actor and be like introverted and weird and you'll still get hired. But a lot of people work with people they like to be around. So,
Right. Have
yeah.
you met like a lot of personalities that kind of like caught you off guard?
Caught me off guard.
Where you was like, oh, that's a unique individual right there.
Yeah, not really just acting and stand up. I think just in life I've come across people where I'm like, "Oh, okay.
Right.
Interesting." You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm gonna put you at arm's distance. But I also, because of the Libra nature in me, because I'm a Libra sun, I'm a Libra moon, it's in my chart 4 times. I am a for real Libra. Like I crave balance. So even with people that are weird and a little standoffish, I'm always curious about them as a person. Like, I wonder what makes them that way. Because
Right.
this
Right.
is
Right.
this is the balance that I feel like Libras bring to the world. Is like we always want to keep things kind of even kill. We don't want to make
That's
anybody feel excluded.
that's kind of how I feel amongst the area that I'm in. Like DC has a certain tone, like the way the guys here they talk and they carry themselves, and I don't sound like the typical people who grew up in Washington D.C. So it's like, if you know me, then you can pick up on certain things or certain slang and stuff. But for the most part, a person hear me speak and they like, where you from, New York? Where you from, Jersey or something? Like you don't sound like you from here. Where you from, down south somewhere? It always be, them guessing. I'm like, I was born and raised right here. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So you know, what I've been learning is even though you're different, it doesn't necessarily mean like you're meant to be carried as weird. It's like at the same time, you just gotta find the crowd that's for you. You gotta find the people in the circle that's for you. You can't feel as though you're an oddball just because you're different from the people that you see on your left and your right. You know what I mean? You might
Absolutely.
be the shining one out of the bunch. So you
Yeah.
gotta, look at yourself and say, God made me different for a reason. And
Hmm.
define that difference and try to do something great in this time period that we have here because we all got to go at some point.
Right, exactly. I think too, like as we age, we start to realize that. I'm in my mid 40s now, and so I'm just starting to realize a lot of things about myself that I didn't realize in my 30s, that I didn't realize in my 20s. And I don't think I would have been able to carry it the same way in my 20s and my 30s. It's sometimes you got to go through the multiple levels of experience
Right.
to get to a point to be like, oh, this is all making sense now. In fact, I prefer smaller circles. A lot of people want that entourage, that big, and I'm like, that's a lot of emotions to manage. You know what
It's
I
a
mean?
lot.
Like, I don't want to deal with that. Not everybody's doing the work. Not everybody's like tapping into how they show up and being accountable for their actions in
Right.
partnerships and in friendships and stuff. And so I don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of people that are just out here frivolously living, and then I'm getting caught in the webs of their bullshit, you know?
That's real.
Yeah.
So how do you manage like your circles now, like with the opportunities you've been getting lately, and has anything changed since you joined the Power of Full Staff?
No. No, not really. Just because I'm not a like I'm a recur, but recur like every
I
every
feel
few.
like they could have gave you more screen time. Me
Yeah, I was
personally,
a
I
recur
I
like
wanted to
every
see
few
more Kendra.
episodes.
So
A lot of people said that. A lot of people like, man, Kendra, what Kendra at, man? What Kendra
right,
at?
like I don't get why they made it the scene so short, because it's like the same way I saw Shanti as a character that they built and developed. I felt like they could have built and developed your character more, and even with the see how they mixed it into it's going to be a new series coming like afterwards. I feel like it's still they could have let your character live on, but I mean I get it. They had to add more dramatic effects to Diamond and
Yeah,
things like that. So.
yeah. I just happen to be a what they call a I don't want to say pawn, but just like
So when you read that script, what was your thoughts? Like, knowing that reading that you was about to get killed off that episode. Like,
well, I knew that most people was gonna get killed off because it was the last season, so I
right,
wasn't like offended at first. When I first saw it, I was like, I'm dying, and then, but it was like we had a big, huge Zoom call where the whole cast was on the call, and
oh,
so on that Zoom call, we talked about the people that was gonna die off, and we knew that just about everybody that was on that damn call was gonna die. Like so it wasn't like oh my god I'm dying my character's dying. It was like the show is dying. I mean, essentially, shit. The writers and all them died too, because ain't nobody making money out of that show no more. You know what I mean? Like that's it. They creating a new show now. I would have loved to have continued on to a new show, but low key though, like I'm really big on like energy and like surrounding myself and putting myself in certain spaces. And I think that I want to continue to curate my career in that way.
right,
And, this particular show, I love 50, I love Power, I love what it did for, the elevation of my career in certain ways. However, it's a lot of fucking and killing and drug dealing. And that's just not the vibe of where I want to live, like, as a person. Like, you know
let
what
me
I mean?
ask you, did what was the dynamic between you and Isaac Keys?
He's great. He's an amazing person. Yes, he's very professional, very friendly, very quiet actually. But we've like he's cool. He's cool. My husband has done some photo shoots for him before. We've talked in offset. When we didn't work, we weren't necessarily at work. We were in other
Right, right,
places,
right.
and yeah, he's a cool dude. He's a real fun dude. So the
So
dynamic was very professional, and like the intimacy sets and stuff, we have coordinators on set and it's closed sets because a lot of people are curious about that. Like, man, there's a lot of fucking going on them shows. What be going on when in those moments,
right,
And I'm like,
right,
it's very curated. It's an
right,
intimacy coordinator. It's very professional. So I never felt like the immediacy of the drugs, the killing, the all of that was affecting me because I had to live in that world in those moments.
right,
But I could definitely have seen me if I was really embodied in this kind of character. That that's how I thought. I'm in the prison systems. I'm running fentanyl. I'm doing some shady shit, and I was like
right.
engulfed in that on a regular basis. I could see how that would energetically shift me in some ways. Actors talk about it all the time. I mean, when Will Smith smacked Chris Rock, he said that it was because his apology was because he was still in the mindset of King Arthur or King James or
I
whatever.
feel I feel like I'm not gonna say Will can't come back from that, but I feel like people are gonna hold that to his career now, even though he's done so much great.
I
What
don't
I
hold
mean,
it to his
acting.
career. I don't hold that to
Not
his career
not
at all.
you, not
Yeah, yeah,
you,
yeah.
but I'm saying like other people, like you see blogs and stuff still kidding about that, situation or still speaking on it and stuff, and it's just like I don't know. I guess I probably never get the Chris Rock interview. I feel like he deserved it.
Back to that one thing. Remember we talked about you can do a million things, but that one thing.
Felt like he deserved it.
Right, Chris.
The
I don't
joke
know
was
about Chris.
dead.
I
I
don't know
didn't
if Chris Rock
understand the joke. I
deserved
mean,
it,
I
but
got the joke, but it was just the whole approach of the joke. It just the way he delivered the joke. It was just like, come on, man.
yeah, yeah. I think Will Smith though, he's an amazing actor too, and a dope ass person. I don't know him personally, um, but just from what I've seen in his career, and then just how he shows up publicly, I think that one situation is allowed. People are allowed to break once or twice. Like, I
Right.
mean, the idea that we're supposed to be perfect all the time is ludicrous to me. You know, we're a full human, so I ain't never supposed to be sad, mad, annoyed. Like, I'm supposed to keep my professionalism at top peak. And I guess they say when you're making millions like that, yeah, you are. You're paid to be
To be professional.
you're paid to be professional, but I don't know. I ain't got the millions. So if I crack, I'm allowing myself that.
Like, well, could you ever like recall a time where you felt like you were getting a bit like irritated or just bothered by like crowds of people on the set or something, or just
Never, never. I've never been on a set where I didn't feel safe or I felt uncomfortable. A lot of times people don't understand that a lot of times on set it's a whole bunch of hurry up and wait. So
right?
it's not like we just in the area, you know, congregating. You usually in your trailer until they
Right.
need you on set. And they know when they need you. And once they pull you out, once the PA comes and gets you from your trailer and says, hey, you're in this next scene, you're not even waiting that long. You're waiting like a microspect of a moment, maybe 10 minutes at most, before you're actually in the scene now and acting, you know, and then after that, you're right back in your trailer into the next scene. So
So
it's,
did you have to read for your part?
do I have to what?
Did you have to read for your part audition?
I did have to audition for it. So the thing
Oh,
about
okay.
Kendra, what was so cool about her, I was actually auditioning for something completely different. I was with my coach at the time, and my manager called me and was like, "Hey, I'm about to send you a script. I need this back ASAP." And I was like, "ASAP, like," and it was a Friday. I remember it was a Friday. I was like,
Right.
"ASAP, like by Monday, or ASAP, like in the next hour?" And she was like in the next hour. And I'm like,
Uh,
luckily, I was like, luckily, I'm here at my coach's right now doing this other audition. So let me send it to me. Let me see if it's something we can do right now. And so
right.
she sent me the script, and it was the scene with the very first scene of us in his basement. That scene where I was talking about him being basically like a you tough now because you on the outside or something, or Diamond Samson, turn around. That scene, and we was at his
Okay, okay.
that one. That was the scene I read for, and it was like more of a sexy scene too because I remember taking off my shirt and just having on a brown like skin color bra, and was like, I'm just gonna do the audition in this bra because it's a sex scene. So because
Okay.
I'm dark skinned and I got on a brown bra anyway, it'll kind of give that essence of nakedness. And
Right.
so I did the audition, and it was fairly quick. It wasn't even a 2 minute audition when I submitted it. And the thing that the struggle they were having, because I remember getting on set and a lot of people saying this, some of the producers and stuff talking about how they was having a really hard time casting the role of Kendra. For they had been asking around, trying to get the right person for this because they couldn't find somebody that could be sexy that also realistically looked like they would work in a male prison or behave like they would realistically be in a male prison, like the energy or being able to shift that on and off of like, yeah, we
But I
fucking
still I still picked up like some thoroughness off of your character as well though. Like
right. So I was raised in the hood around a bunch of cousins that was literal drug dealers. Like that was like my upbringing. Like it was police at our house. They and not police like coming to raid us. It was police at our house that was on a payroll. You know what I'm saying? Like dirty
okay.
cops. Like I grew up in that environment when I lived at my grandmother's house under my dad when there was a lot of people in that house. So I remember the dynamic of that energy. It wasn't hard for me to play the hard role because I grew up in the hard
You grew
role.
up in it
You know
already.
what I'm saying? Right. So it was easy for me. And then just as a woman, I've evolved. And so I also know how to be sexy. I also know how to be, softer. My husband would disagree, but I do know how to be softer at times. I can tap into my softness sometimes. So I do have that as well. And so because I had those two things, that's what landed me the role. They were looking for that. They couldn't find, it was either she could be really sexy, but then she couldn't play that hardcore role where
Right.
she's shaking up Roas. Like, oh, that's what you doing, Roas? She couldn't
I don't know
shift into
why.
that.
I mean, I go back to Shanti's character a lot because my thing is it's similar dynamics there. So I didn't. So anything they're saying, you know what I mean? Like it's a similar dynamic. That's all I can say. Is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Shanti definitely had the same energy. I mean, just you know, a hardcore black woman in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what that character dynamic was. But Shanti was actually so when I think about her as a person, like as an actress, she's much softer and sweeter than I am. Much softer and sweeter than I think I could ever be
In real
as a
life. In
in
real life.
real life, in real
Right.
life as a human. You know what I mean? Like she's such a sweet person, very kind, very, she listens with intention and eye contact. Like she has just this softness about her. I remember being at the rap party and just her energy is just very soft and sweet. And I don't have that naturally at all. So I found it very interesting that she's playing this very hardcore role, and the true of her is the complete opposite,
Did
versus
you did
me. I'm able
did
to
you
tap
get the
into that because
touch
there is some
bases
truth there.
with Miriam?
You said
Miriam?
what?
Did you get to touch bases with Miriam?
I did not have any scenes with her. No, no, no,
You
no.
didn't?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, no. But she
I
plays.
know, even though like some
She's
people that
like that in
weren't
real life, though. She's a rapper, and like, I believe she's like kind of on the masculine leaning queer side, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
I'm not sure. But I've seen some of her like her posts and stuff. So
Yeah.
she does like she does do music. Cause
Yeah, I
that's
think
who
she
I
raps and does a lot of but she's more masculine. I've seen her in other roles like The Shy. She plays that same character, And so then
see
for
I
her
didn't
to
tune
be
in enough to the shy. I feel like because I feel like, I feel like 50 just hit a gathering. Like, let's go next door real quick. And you know what I mean? Like, cause
let's
it's
get all these people from that
right,
scene and
cause
bring them over
it's
here.
so many actors and actresses that was on the shy that literally got dragged over the force. And I'm like, it was the perfect transition, but you just ask yourself like, man, how many of those people did you guys, because it's the same way with The Wire. They took a lot of The Wire's characters.
Yeah.
And if you watch, Power, you're a real fan of Power, then you will see like, oh, he played in The Wire, he played in The Wire. You know what I'm saying? Think about
Yeah.
Wendell Price. He played in The Wire. He was a big part, big role in The Wire. So
Yeah. This
BMF, Trey Chaney, he was in BMF. So 50 definitely he knows what shows the fine cast members from, and circle them around the other cast members he's trying to build up.
Yeah, The Shy, when you talk about The Shy and Power and being very similar, Chicago has a very small
Mm,
market when it comes to like black actors. And
right.
so you're going to see some of the same people, especially for a show that's shot here. You're going to see similar recurring characters on different shows because
You're in Chicago now?
I am. Yep.
Okay, okay. I
Yeah.
had family from Gary, Indiana, so
Oh, nice. Yeah,
yeah,
it's right
I
up the
got
street.
little roots with Chicago, a little bit.
Yeah, right up the street.
Yeah,
Our
30
little, our, little-
minutes.
our little suburban ghetto,
Uh-huh. Cause
Gary.
that's exactly what Gary is. I mean, cause you feel like you in a ghost town, but at the same time, you just gotta make it, make the best out of it. It's like a motor city to me. It kind of give you vibes of Detroit a little bit too.
Is definitely that dried up kind of factory feel.
They could give it
Goes
more love than what they
tumbleweed.
giving it.
Yeah, yeah. I think I
Cause
got a lot
it's
of friends
so.
from
Cause when
Gary.
you think about Indianapolis and there's so much out there, like why can't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of far though. Indianapolis like 3.5 hours away from Gary.
Yeah, but get Gary some love. That's all. I just you never seen a place and you want to see it get beautified just a little bit. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
do. You do. I also think the issue with Gary, this could be just speculation, but I think the
okay,
issue with Gary is it's so polluted. Like the air and the being able to live in Gary is like truly polluted. You know what I
right.
mean? Like they have I have a friend that flies planes, and he said every time he would come in over Gary, you just see this like yellow cloud
Whoa.
hovering dust. Right. You can't see it like with the naked eye, but up above it,
All
coming
right.
into it, you could see it. And that's because it's the factories and all of that. So it's like,
So
you know what I mean?
bad pollution.
It's very bad pollution. It's very bad air
Right.
pollution. So nobody's trying to like they are doing a little bit of building along the waterfront over there, but nobody's trying to like take roots in Gary. You know what I mean? You might have a small home that you might go to along the lake every now and then, but I don't see Gary unless they do something about that pollution. I don't see Gary becoming like a destination space ever.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, and even when you look at the sports teams, I mean, they got all the way to the NBA Western Conference. No, I mean the NBA Finals. I meant to say, I mean, the East. They was the best team and won the Eastern Conference Finals and everything else, and was right there. But if you look around, I don't feel like they like Indiana was galvanized enough for a run like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, if any script writers do exist, I can see why Oklahoma went ahead and took it. You got the rising superstar. You know what I mean? Just all the things work well with them to take that route. But it's like Indiana, you just even when you think back to somebody like Reggie Miller, that was somebody that kind of was an idol type of individual out of that area. They
Michael
kind of
Jackson
screwed
is
up
from
with that.
Gary. Michael Jackson's from Gary.
Michael
Like,
Jackson, that's probably the biggest celebrity from Gary, Indiana.
yeah, Gary hashes out some amazing talent. Like, I have friends that are from Gary. I don't know if you know Lisa Beasley. She
I'm
plays.
not.
She plays. Have you ever heard of Corporate Aaron?
No.
That character that plays like this corporate. Well, she like amasses. I mean, she's amassed a huge following from this character, Corporate Aaron, and people just love her. She's from Gary, and she's one of the funniest people I know. It's so many people that come out of Gary that are talented, but the environment of Gary, the politicians just aren't invested in caring for the
Right.
commute, like the environment of Gary. So I don't ever see it being like really built up in the
I
way it
That's
should
why I
be.
was saying. I just feel like it's I remember I tried to relocate there like in my early 20s.
To
And
Gary?
yeah, my godmother was like, she was so hard on me, was like, you're not about to, you're trying to, like, I get that you see this as your second home, but you're trying to jump from a rising area within Washington, D.C., and you want to come here and make a life here. And she was just like, nah, it's not gonna happen.
I'm
And
glad
then,
she
I
advised you
got
against
I
that.
got into the music scene out there because I do promotion. Well, I used to do promotion as well. So I got to meet some of the artists out there. Like I was searching hashtags to say Gary, Indiana. Anybody that just saying like they was interested from Gary, I was trying to meet them or interview them or get a hold of them some type of way. And I feel like I came with a good decent crop from what you were gonna find out there. I was
Yeah.
able to build some memories. But the one thing I took from my experience in that journey was they always got to go back to Chicago for fun. It's like everything entertainment wise always would direct me to Chicago. So I'm like, I'm coming to Gary, Indiana, but in reality, I'm just trying to escape to hurry up and get to Chicago every time.
Yeah.
Like, and this was before the whole Chirac movement and the drill scene came into play and things like that. At one point, I mean, you thought Chicago, you thought a beautiful city. So
Yeah. If you move into Gary, you're moving there for the low housing cost. That's
no,
like the only
really.
reason why you moving there is because you can live there for literally under $1,000 a month and be in a decent
But it's
size
gonna be
house.
so much. It's gonna be hard to find a job. So I mean, I feel like it's a good place to go and retire. Like if like you're looking to just like settle down, you want to be somewhere quiet,
Yeah, if you
not a
want
whole lot
cancer.
going on. Like I lived out there on Taney Street. I was
On
on
what?
Taney. on Taney Street in Gary, Indiana.
I don't even know.
You don't know where that is, but yeah, that's where I was over. It's like a little Sharks and a supermarket, and that's another thing. Like they're like the reoccurrence of the places to eat out there. Oh my God, it's just like the best. What Cracker Barrel? Like it just you run out of
Food.
options
They
quick.
call it food desert.
Yeah, you
The
run
food
out of
desert.
options quick. That's the only thing I didn't like about being out there. I felt like you had to like get creative and really get on your cooking grind because you wasn't gonna find too many places to eat out there. You know what I mean? That's something that you want to keep having over and over. It was like,
Yeah.
so can you tell me like how was like life in high school for you? Like, give me one of your fondest memories from when you were in school.
Life in high school. Oh God. So high school was about 20.
You make it seem like it was so long ago.
It was
Don't
like
do that.
27 years ago, bro.
Well,
It was 27 years ago. High school was 27 years ago. That's a long time.
so you don't think you remember anything from
I
around that
do
time?
remember. I remember getting kicked out of two of them. I remember having a full-on fight with the dean.
A
I was
full
a
on fight
hot,
with the Dean is
full-on,
insane.
full-on fight with the dean. I was insane in high school. I was a hot mess. Um, I see people today and they see me and I'm just so different and they like, yo, I don't
Like I
even know.
remember you when you were like,
Right, right,
all
right. They
right,
like, who is this in front of us? Because this ain't the girl I remember. But
right,
I was completely different. I was coming out of my, I was moving with my mom at the time. Like I had just moved from my dad's house to my mom's house, and I was kind of still trying to find myself, if you will. I was a middle child, so that rage and anger of feeling not seen. Um, just all of that was built up in me. And so my
what
freshman year of
area
high
did you
school,
grow up in? Like what area was all this?
so I originally my dad and when I lived with my dad, I grew up in Harvey. So that's like if you think Harvey, Gary, they're kind of on the same plane of like existence. It was a factory town, a big factory place. When the factory closed down, everything else in the community closed down. And so that pretty much was Harvey. Harvey is also, I don't know if you've seen that movie with Ice Cube and Keke Palmer, where Keke Palmer was a football player and Ice Cube was like her uncle or something.
Yeah. I
That
remember.
movie,
I no,
that
no, no,
movie
I,
is
I definitely remember. I remember.
that's based on the Harvey Colts. That's based on a little
Okay.
girl who was on a football team in Harvey. So that whole dynamic. So if you think about that whole story of him losing his job and all of that because of the factories closing down, that's like an accurate depiction of Harvey. So grew up there with my mom, I mean with my dad and my dad's side of the family, my grandma. And then when my grandma passed away, because most women is the matriarch of the family kind of dissipated from there. Like everybody kind of went their own
Separate
ways.
ways.
Yep, yep. And I end up moving in with my mom, living with my mom. And that was in Country Club Hills, like Provincetown. So I was at that point, it was a huge culture shock for me because Provincetown and like Country Club Hills and Matson and that area back in the day was considered like black wealth, or
Right,
if you had a little bit of money, that's where you moved to, was those far bigger house suburbs.
right.
And I'm coming from Harvey, and so I was the ghetto girl in school. You know what I mean? Like I was that chick. Like I was the one that was
Uh,
always fighting and in somebody's face and just loud and big. And so my freshman year in high school, I remember
you
my
say big. How tall like you?
I'm 5'7". I'm not that big. I mean,
I
I
mean,
just I
you
had
got
big
me by
energy. You
maybe
know
a
what I'm saying?
half
I
an
had
inch.
big energy.
Okay.
Yeah, I came through with like
I'm
loud
thinking you
energy,
saying
like
like you was big in stature, like
nah, loud, like big, like you wasn't going.
like people
Sometimes
knew you was in the room, like
right,
they
you
knew.
knew when I came in the room
Right,
knew. Right, exactly. Like I never shied away from just being present.
right.
I'm here, bitches.
Heavy on the energy.
Exactly. So I remember my freshman year, my brother's girlfriend she was in a fight with somebody in the hallway and they were mollywopping her ass. Like she was getting stumped down. And so I called myself just jumping in to like like
Right.
protect her, like to
You was
break the
trying.
whole fight. Right. I wasn't even in the fight. I wasn't in the fight. I wasn't a part of it at all. And I was like trying to break up the fight. And then Dean Ryan, I remember him like, yeah, oh God, Dean Ryan, this big white burly man, come in, he grabs me and he slams me into, and this is the kind of school we in. We got all these glass walls everywhere. That's the kind of school that I was in at the time. So this little bougie school. So
So
he
that's what made you.
slammed me into the glass wall and I hit my back. And when he did that, I just started swinging. I punched him in the face. I'm like hitting, I'm like, and I was wilding at that point. And then
Right.
all I remember him saying is, "You're out of here." And then I was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to be at this school anyway, right? And I'm just talking all
Don't
this shit.
don't
And
feel bad. I got kicked out of a couple high schools myself growing up. So
man, hot mess. Until they called my mom up there. Then I was like, I do care. I think I do care actually.
but
you
see,
know.
at least you had somebody to set you straight. You know what I mean? Some people don't have that.
Very true.
I
Very
lost my
true.
dad when I was young. He passed away when I was 12. So I feel
Okay.
like that was like that vocal enforcer in my life. So when it was like, once he passed away, then with my mom, she was going through some adversity herself at the time. So I was kind of bouncing around. So I really didn't have nobody to like say like, hey, look, you're gonna go to school. You're gonna do this. You're gonna. When I
No
started getting to
enforcer.
that rebellion stage,
Yeah.
I needed so much more structure, and I didn't have it. And then I just started spiraling out of control. Like, what
Yeah.
I mean? Trying to prove myself, trying to be known amongst the wrong crowds, trying to, you know, just
Yeah.
fronting. I mean, what's 50 favorite word? Like, well, you was a wankster. Like, what I mean? Know your
Ah.
lane. Like, know your lane. At least I can admit, what I'm saying, looking back at that time, because I just look at what how I started to grow, and I'm like, you wasted so much time trying to live within this character in your
Yeah.
head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You wasted all this when you could have just been true to yourself from the beginning. You know what I mean? If
I
they would
like to
say
challenge
weird or
the I like
strange,
to
just be
challenge the
that.
idea. I'd like to challenge the idea that it was wasted though. I think that it's,
You
grown.
need to go
You
through it.
need to go through it. You're right. I don't
Right.
think it's wasted. Like that, what I went through getting kicked out, like it was a hell of an experience. And then I got put into a what they call like a secondhand school where you get kicked out and they put you into an alternative school.
Yeah.
So I was in an
Yeah. I was
alternative
in one of
school.
those too.
Yep. And then I got kicked out of that. Yeah. And so once I
Yeah, I
got
wanted to get out of that. I ain't get kicked out of it. I wanted to leave because I'm like, it's 16 people in this
right,
jump. I can't live like
there's
that.
12 people in my class.
That was no, I'm saying the whole school probably
Right,
amounted to
right.
16 people. That
I
was
know what you're
crazy.
saying. It was tiny. It was like we was in one room. I
Right.
feel
I'm
you,
like,
bro.
hell no. Man,
Yes.
during lunch, when you can literally look at the whole school, teacher, I'm like, come on now, man. And then
My
it's
school was
like
the
these
same
cats, like,
size.
I was
Yes.
playing crazy. These cats was really
Really
crazy. So
crazy,
I'm like,
right?
so
Right.
I'm going to school. Some of these dudes was coming in there all types of hallucinational drugs. You know what I mean?
Oh
That's
my
all I'm gonna
God.
say. And it just used to get wild. I remember one time a dude came in there and stripped all the way down to his pants and was just dancing on the table, no shirt on, just wild
Oh
and
my
sweating
God.
bullets. I'm like, oh my God, this high school though.
Oh
I'm in
wow.
ninth grade at this time period. You know
And
what
you
I'm
just
saying?
looking at
Dude
this
was
dude ass naked like
damn near. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is crazy. How y'all let this fly? So it was like me having to experience these different antics from these people within this school. I mean, because every one of them had a personality. It was a school called City Lights out here in DC. They ended up closing the school down and everything. I mean, I guess they attendance record and they couldn't get enough people like enrolled the enrollment. You know what I mean? Like enough people wasn't trying to go there because the reputation of the school was already like literally trashed. I mean, they
right.
didn't have enough programs to offer the kids, and then it wasn't enough kids wanting to participate in nothing because it wasn't enough kids in the school to like say like they had a basketball team. I don't even know how they was able to pull this off. I think I think the
It's a
basketball
much
team had
joint.
like
It
six
was a much
people
joint
on it.
basketball team. Everybody
Like,
had to
how
be
can
on
you
it.
play basketball with it's 16 people in the school, and then you saying only maybe 6 or 7 of the boys want to play basketball? It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. My alternative school was the same way. It was just, it was the alternative school for people that didn't want to act right in the regular school.
Right.
So, and mine was, I don't know if you went to, did you go to school all day?
I I used to go to school from we had to get there like I want to say 7:30 to like 2:45 maybe.
Yeah. See, ours was sectioned in like these 3-hour windows. So I went to school from 9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Yep. So from 9 in the morning to 12 p.m. And I remember getting a job at the McDonald's in the mall across the
Okay.
street when I got off work. So I would get off work at 12. I would go to work at 1, and I lied on my application and said I was 16. I wasn't even 16 yet.
You was
And this
like
is before
14.
they put I was like 14. And this is before they put laws in place where you couldn't work long hours if you were 16. And so I would go
But
to
this
work from
how was
one
you able to
o'clock
get a job? What about the your social and stuff? They weren't
because
able to.
I probably talked my way into it. I don't even remember how I got the job. I don't even remember how I like finagled my way. I think what I did was you could have like a teacher write something up, and I think I like forged the write up or something where I
Right,
was like
right,
like yeah, like an after school program thing. And because I got off school every day at 12, I could be there at 1. So obviously I'm old enough to be a junior. I'm getting good grades and I get to leave class, at 12 o'clock because I don't have to be there. I'm smart. And
right.
so and I worked from 1 to like 8:30 just about every day. So I was getting big money at like
At a
14,
young age.
working for Foot Locker. I mean, working for McDonald's. Yeah. And then I remember kind of messing that all up because this girl was dating my boyfriend at the time. This girl at the alternative school was like telling people too, like talking shit about it. That yeah, I got her guy. Woo woo
Right, right,
woo.
right.
And so I
Like
I
it's
got
a flex to have somebody to be somebody.
I got
Crazy.
me and like a bunch of my girls, and we went up there and we beat the hell out of her ass, and that's when I got kicked out of that school. So
So it was like just a reoccurring a lot of fighting.
a lot of fighting, a lot of
So
anger, a
so
lot of
you never
anger.
thought to like channel it and maybe like box or something like that? Like I see
How
how
could
you
you?
told me
How could
going
you
one.
think that? How could you think that at 12, at 13? You just don't have the
Okay.
mental capacity
But
to think
nobody
like that.
around you thought it either. Like, all right, let me.
But how could they think that? Like, you got to think about the trajectory of what we were coming out of, right? You got my mom that literally, my mom probably experienced some version of Jim Crow and blacks only bathrooms and like the mindset of
Oh,
that, right? And then you got her parents that experienced whatever they experienced and how they're raising them in the city of Chicago, which is also still a very racist and segregated city.
right,
So it's like all of these layers that our own parents are literally trying to peel back just for you to exist and have a decent life. Now we're out in the suburbs. She's trying to give us this is the better life because we're in the suburbs. We're at the better school, quote unquote,
right.
right? Not knowing that the better school is challenging me in ways
Did
because
you
I'm this little ghetto girl trying to fit into this new mental space with all these
right?
white kids and all these proper kids or black kids that did have money genuinely with doctors and lawyers for parents. You know what I mean? And so it was just a completely different energy and I was very angry. And so I expressed that anger a lot in fighting. It was mainly like you challenge me, but I also grew up at my dad's house. That's how they dealt with resolutions. Like I saw people fight all the time. It was
Right.
normal.
So it was more so something you were used to saying one
It was
place.
normalized. It was like, and then
Right.
too, I would see them fight and then be talking the next minute. Like we just literally boxed, and then it was like, so you finna run to the store, grab me some eggs. What? Like the normality of it all. You know what I mean? Like they normalized the shit out of confrontation in that way that I assumed that it was normal to be like this. And I even still have to like check a lot of my internal demons in that way in my marriage, in my friendships, because I'll have like these very heated arguments, and then I'm thinking like we good,
That's
and they
how
like
I am as well, though. I get like that as well. I feel like I need to do better, like with the like patience level I have for people, but if I get irritated or I get, in my feelings about something, or I feel like somebody struck below the belt, then just know I'm gonna go all with the head with it any time. So
Exactly. And if I feel attacked in any way, that's all. What, you coming
right,
for me? Like, oh
right,
no, here we go. Right. And it's like I'm really learning as a person that, for one, that doesn't serve my bottom line. It's not a
it does.
habit that really feeds my energy and where I'm trying to go with my life and in my career, and in my relationships. It's just not beneficial to me. And so, do I want to shed that layer, or do I want to keep my ego in control to keep saying, well, I'm the big bad wolf. You can't dominate me. And it's like, yeah, the big bad wolf essentially ended up alone. You know what I mean? So do you want to be alone, or do you want to have fruitful connections that help you grow? And if you do, then we got to really check that energy, because it's not going to work.
No,
You
it's
know?
not.
Yeah. And
You'll
so,
start to push people away from you. You'll isolate yourself. You know what I mean? You will start to ask yourself like, why me? You know what I mean? But then you don't
you don't realize.
necessarily know the energy that you pushing off on other people, because
Exactly.
you so what I'm saying, strong headed that you don't really care. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
you get to that point. So
You too strong headed that you can't be heart
right,
strong.
right there.
Like, this is where the strength got to come from. It's a vulnerability that has to happen in an open heart. That if you always up here thinking about, you ain't gonna do this to me, you ain't finna blah blah blah, if that's the only thought that's happening, you're not leaving room for this to make a choice. And so I had to go through those situations, got kicked out of that house high school, to a point where my mom had to move school districts.
Mm,
We had to move houses and move to a new area in order for me to get enrolled in another school. And then once I got enrolled in that new school, Thornwood, which is where I graduated from,
okay.
Dean Kennedy, I remember him. I love him to death. He's deceased now. I went looking for him recently, actually, just to show him, like, gee, look at me. Look at how far I've come.
Everybody got that handful of people you want to go do that.
And be like,
Man.
thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank you for your generosity. So Dean Kennedy, he told me when I got there, he said, listen, he said, I done been through your file. I know your history. I'm not fucking having it. I'm not having it. He said, if you even breathe wrong, your ass is out of here. He's like, you going to
Right.
Pace. Now, Pace, which was an alternative school for that district, was completely different than Ombudsman.
That's
Ombudsman,
not my choice.
because I lived in I lived in Country Club Hills in the bougier black areas when
Hmm.
I went to Ombudsman, right? That alternative school was like a fake ass alternative school, right?
It
We
won.
did
It
we
won.
did computer work. It
Right.
was like lame as hell, like they don't expect much from you. Oh, they're just having some, their parents probably are going to have them in therapy soon, and they'll be back in the regular school doing better. Like, that's the kind of alternative school that was.
Right.
Pace, the alternative school that I would have went to if I got kicked out of Thornwood, was like
Nah, this is
metal
like
detectors in the metal
blue.
detectors when you walk in, like bars on the doors. Like, that was like it was like a stop before prison. Like, literally, like that was
It was
like,
a school like that. That was the step above the one that I was at too. And
right,
that's what happened. I got hit with that choice because I went back to regular high schools. And once they kicked me out of, being back in regular high schools or whatever, the next step was choice. And I said, nah, that ain't my last step. What's up, Job Corps?
right, right, right,
What's it
right.
going to say?
It's like, nah, man. And so when he told me that I was gonna get kicked out and I was gonna go to Pace, I was like, ooh. And I still, but habit is hard, right? You can't just be like, all right, I'm gonna be different now. I was
Right.
in a habit of fucking up. And so what I loved about Dean Kennedy, and what I wish I could have expressed to him, um, before he passed away, was that when I would get in trouble, they would send me to his office, because that was my dean. So, go to your dean. I would go to my dean, and instead of him writing me up or doing anything to put it on my record, he would make me staple papers for him. He was like, sit over there and staple those papers.
Mm.
And I would staple papers for him. Or I would do like little message runs. So, the dean to have a message for a student, or something like that. He would be like, go to room so and so and drop this off to Mr. Blah blah blah, whatever. And so that's what I would be doing for him, was message runs and stapling papers. So every single time I got in trouble, he would do that, and it just changed. Like, I don't know, it just made me look at people a little bit differently, and eventually I calmed down. You know what I mean? I
Right.
don't even say I fully calmed down. Like I was fighting. I was pregnant my junior year with my son, literally fighting. And Dean Kennedy didn't suspend me. He put me in school suspension. Um, but I was just so grateful that at the end of the day, they did not kick me out of Thornwood, because I think that had I got kicked out of Thornwood, my life would be completely different. It would
Right.
be completely different. So yeah, and then after high school, I went to the military. I went to the Air Force. And so that changed me a lot. That changed my discipline. That changed how I, looked at my own ability to do things too. Running, it got me into running more. I was in track in high school, but I could never stay in a high school long enough to really
Right.
be on the track team. So, and playing basketball, so I was kind of in and out of track and basketball.
I was
So by the
definitely
time
gonna
I
say
got
that you look like you work out a lot and you're very fit, very healthy.
yes, yes, fitness is very important to me. It's like super important, especially since I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2013. And so now it's like super important to me, because fitness and diet and mental health all
Right.
matters for that, for the progression of that disease. So, but yeah, like all these things that happen, I think, has led me down a really beautiful place in my life where I feel rooted in who I am. I feel very comfortable with a lot of the choices that I make. And I didn't learn it back in high school, but I learned how to like meditate and find alternative methods for my anger as an adult, which
Right.
has been my saving grace. You know what I mean? It's been a beautiful thing
So
now.
you try to stay away from like combatish type of things. You don't feel like that releases the energy enough for you, right?
I don't try to stay away from, I don't, I do not consume a lot of things that are aggressive. I
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because we are confirmation bias people. So what we believe is what manifests in our reality. So if a person believes that the world is full of butterflies and roses, they're probably going to see a lot of butterflies and roses. They're going to really see that. It's going to manifest in their reality. They'll have a sense of joy about life. If a person believes that everybody's out to get you, that's what's going to manifest in their reality. They're going to find ways to say, see that person tried to get me. They're going to be able to
Man, it don't even
pinpoint
be
that.
like that every time.
Yeah, it's confirmation bias. It's a reality that we can manifest in our own minds. And so understanding that, because I've done a lot of work. I've done, ayahuasca twice, hypnotherapy, Vipassana, which is the 10-day silent meditation retreats, EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, like all different types of deep work therapy. You know what I mean? Where I'm at a
Very
point
sharp.
I see my own contributions to my either negative or positive reality. Where I'm living is based on how I'm seeing myself. And there's another saying my friend Dr. Nia always says, that people treat people how they feel about themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So that's another thing. I just try to make sure that I'm aligning my energy in a way where I can feel good about myself all the time, so that
Right.
I'm not treating other people in a negative way. I'm not being unkind, because it's natural for me to be unkind. I was raised in a space where unkindness was the norm. So
Right.
how do I combat that very early on conditioning? Because kids are most malleable between those ages that I lived in that chaos. So how do I rewire my brain not to go there, not to be my first reaction is anger and hate and fight and, oh nigga, you want to challenge me? Well,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
How do I make that not my norm? And I'm still working on that shit. Like it's not easy. I still have to like check myself. Where I'd be like 0 to 100 real quick. And then I'd be like, wait a minute, Kellye, was that even merited? Was that
Right.
even necessary? I just had a issue with a friend recently where, you know, she sent a text message, and the text message was it was like she was attacking me. And that made her the enemy. Like it instantly pushed her into the enemy box for me. And so being that, it's like, where'd you go? Oh, there you go. I'm like, you went away. I can't even hear you.
So I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I just recently had an instance where, I pushed her into the enemy box because of this text message, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. It was like,
Right.
you know what I mean? I took it there, and so I like to introspect and think about my actions, and I take accountability for my actions, because at the end of the day, whatever we're feeling and what we're going through, 1,000% of the time is our own shit. It's our own narrative. It really has nothing to do with that other person that we're trying to attack or make the enemy. It's
Right.
usually some type of conditioned way of thinking in our own minds. So yeah, I'm big on that kind of stuff, man.
That's just like, what I mean, things that I have going on. Like one of my friends, he sent me like listings about apartments and stuff, and I literally took it negatively because I'm like, we got an apartment. I felt like together, so I didn't understand why it's like you're sending me something like that. I just instantly in my mind, I just took it as like you're trying to attack me, and I took it the wrong way. So I can understand how easy it is to take things the wrong way. You know what I mean, or to let something rub you wrong, or for you to interpret things in a mixed, you know what I mean, sickly
Yeah.
type of way. But then you never know sometimes because whatever initial thought you could have had, how do you not know if that thought was not intuition? It was telling you to feel that way. You know what I mean? But then again, it's like at times you gotta know when to hold them and when to fold them, and not necessarily react or respond to everything just because it's not in your liking or it's not, something that you necessarily might agree with. So it's a lesson behind everything you go through in life. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta take accountability on whatever part you play in things as well. You know what I mean? You just can't look at everybody else like, oh, this person. Just like, back to what you were saying, like just feeling as though like the room is closing in on you or everybody is attacking you or has something against you. When you start to think like that, then you're literally gonna start to close yourself away from everybody and everything. But then the people that do try to come in contact with you now, they are not realizing you're filled up with this negative, spiteful energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in your mind, it might not be that, but that's because you're the person that's living it, living through it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not. It's not a. It's not like the people that are receiving it. Those are the people you gotta take yourself outside your body and see how would you receive it if a person was to come at you this way or was to make you feel back then? You know what I mean? So it's like I feel like a lot of times we don't, necessarily think about the next person's feelings when we're moving a certain way or we're responding to things in the heat of battle and you know what I mean? Because in the heat of battle, it's like people like we're gonna throw jabs, we're gonna throw insults, and then you might think about these things later, and you're like, was that really necessary? Did I
Yeah.
really have to go that low? Like, am I kind of, as we spoke about earlier off record, am I petty? And, you know what I mean? How petty am I being? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is this a bit, you know what I mean? Like, people tell me at times that I'll go too far. You know what I mean? As far as like trying to give a person, you know what I mean, the cold shoulder treatment, but I'm not gonna say it's the Scorpio in me. I just feel like it's a part of kind of how I am, and that's how I protect myself. It's not a thing where it's like I'm necessarily intentionally trying to treat people wrong. I like to protect who I am and my energy and how I feel about myself. And at times people they can not realize, but they can make you feel less. You know what I mean? Not everyone, but you have people that may make you feel like that at times. And
Hmm.
when you're around people like that, you're either gonna remove yourself from around that energy, or you're ultimately gonna speak up and say, "Hey, what's going on?"
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
can definitely understand, you know what I mean, being in different situations and not always agreeing with the people around me. I'm very much, as I said, to myself, I'm a lone wolf, I feel like a lot of times, the black sheep of my family as well. So,
Yeah.
that doesn't help it. You know what I'm saying? I look at it like the only thing I want to love is my four daughters. I just want to love my little girls. But even then, it's like because the relationships didn't work out with their mothers, it's not really a thing where it's like they want to be fair co-parents and either. So,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
then I don't think people look at things from both worlds though. Like these fathers, they feel hurt too. They want to be there every step of the way in the child's life just as much as the moms do. So I
Yeah.
never understand like the when you're trying to hurt the other parent, you're ultimately just hurting the child.
Yeah, that is true. I
So
don't know what it feels like to be a father in that, I'm a mother. And so I've always had I think too, my situation was a little different with my daughter. I gave the father multiple opportunities to be in my daughter's life and I may not have said it the best way or went about articulating it the best way. I was young, 19, 20,
okay.
21. And so I'm thinking from a 19, 20, 21-year-old mind at the time. But I definitely gave moments where I'm like, you pick her up on this day. I remember trying to coordinate a schedule with my daughter's biological father, saying, hey, this is your weekend to pick her up. And then from daycare, when you pick her up from daycare, you pay her daycare fee for that week. That next week, I pick her up, I pay her fee, like kind of alternating it, trying to give him options. And, you know, the very next week, he did it one time. He picked her up one time, and the very next time, he forgot about her, and the daycare was calling me. And then it happened again. And once it happened that second time, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to do this with you. I'm gonna just do child support. And it's wild. I
Mm.
remember him telling me, if you ever put me on child support, I will do nothing for her. I will never do nothing for her again. I put him on child support, and he has not been in her life. And you know what? I don't really care because I've given her
I mean,
everything.
your child is of age now. I don't understand like
Yeah, she's 25 now, but this is back
right.
then.
So
You know
why
what I
is he
mean?
still why? So he never stepped in from this point.
I mean, at this point, my daughter's uninterested. Like she has no,
Oh,
I mean,
you missed out on too much
she may
time.
still talk to, I know she speaks to her siblings because she has siblings on that side of the family. But as
Right,
far as like
right,
him, I don't know what their dynamic is, but she has I've never said anything negative about him. I've never put him in this like, he's a terrible person kind of light. I just no longer entertained trying to make that a connection. I was like, I'm not going to be the one that's begging you to
right.
be in your child's life. Like you got a kid, you got a kid, and that's that. And we took a paternity test with the courts, and it's been confirmed that this is your child. So you can either be there or not. No, fine. I'm gonna keep living because I have to keep living, and I have to keep living in joy,
So
not in
what would
bitterness.
you
You
think
know,
was you guys' demise? Like how did you get to that point where it didn't work out?
I
Because
don't think
I
it
would
was a
think
demise
ideally
or
like people want to raise their kid together. Ideally,
I don't think it was a demise of us. I just think that people have certain habits and how they see family dynamics. And
right.
that comes from their own family dynamics and how they were raised and what's normal and what's not. And some women will tolerate it and some won't. And so I personally was not the kind of woman that would tolerate infidelity, that would constantly tolerate
Hmm.
lies and bullshit. Like I wasn't that kind of person. And so you can either correct those behaviors and we can
Right.
raise this child together, or you know what I mean, you can not, and that's that. And I will raise her over here. And I tried the whole co-parenting. I'll do this and you do that. And I was very fair in that way. Like
Right.
I was on like child care initiative at the time because I was only 21. I didn't really have no money, which was like $20 a week, I think, for child care.
So it's not like women out here like they might receive TANF when they're not working and stuff.
Right. So it's the kind of the same thing. But with child care initiative, you do have a job. So your child care, you have a job, but based on what you make, your
They're
child
still
care
trying to help you
price
out. Okay.
is way lower. Exactly. So my
Right. Right.
child
Right.
care rate for my daughter to go to the daycare every week was like 20 something dollars. It
That's
was
how mine
really,
was at one point.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really inexpensive. So I was like, you pay that on the weekend that you pick her up. I pay it on the
Right.
weekend that I pick her up. You pay that at the end of the week. You bring her clothes, whatever clothes you bring her, you put her in, her clothes. You put her back in whatever she had on Sunday night. When you drop her off at the daycare on Monday morning, you can put her back in that same thing she had on Friday. It's completely fine. You know what I'm saying? I will,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I was very understanding. I wasn't one of those crazy baby mamas that tried to make the situation hard. So
Right.
so him deciding not to be in her life was just his choice,
Yep.
and that was that. And so I moved on, and then I got married. What shit, I've been with my husband almost 16 years now. And so
Wow.
my daughter's 25. So he's been in her life since she was 9. And that's who she calls dad. Like that's who she knows to be her father. She knows that her biological father is another person. But as far as like the man that gave her structure and habits and mindsets and loved her in an unconditional manner, that is not a bloodline there, but that's a love line. You know what I mean? And that's good enough. And so I don't know what the whole thing is. And I feel like with men, I can't speak for all men, but the effort, you might have a crazy baby mama, right? And if you do, then you need to just go through the courts way. You need to do it the
Right.
proper way so that you are doing the thing. Because when it's all said and done, if you decide to give up or say, fuck it, I just ain't even gonna worry about it because she tripping, that is gonna come back to bite you in the ass because that child is gonna feel like you didn't care. You didn't fight hard enough for them. You know what I'm saying?
You
Like,
abandoned them, basically.
right. You got to fight. You got to fight. You just got to do it. And if it takes a little bit more effort to have to go, and I know that the courts aren't always fair to the men. So I don't know what that looks like. I can't speak from a place of like, do it through the courts and be protected because they might
Yeah.
not protect you. I don't know what that dynamic. I'm not a man. I'm a woman, and the woman, the responsibility of the child always falls on the woman by default. So I didn't really have an option as to whether or not I wanted to be in my child's life. You know what I mean? Like it was just by default, this is what it is. Not that I would have
Right.
chosen not to, but this is what it is. So when it came to her dynamic with her dad, I had to make a decision what was best for her mental health and my mental health. I'm not gonna keep chasing this man.
You felt like it was like one foot in, one foot out too much. That
Yeah.
hop in, hop out, hop in, hop out, hop in.
Yep. And I told you I'm gonna do the court thing if you don't get your shit together, and he didn't. So I did the court thing, and which was still trash. Like I think I got paid $50 a month up until she graduated from college. It was trash. It didn't even pay for her fast food habits.
I mean,
You
it's
know what
different
I mean?
now
Like,
though. They garnishing wages and everything else, so it's a whole different environment. As far
yeah,
when you think about child support, it's punishing some guys. Like, but I feel like a woman shouldn't have to get to that point if the man is showing interest in this child's life and being there for his child and doing for his child. But if it's a thing where it's like this man is totally absent from the equation, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
exactly. And that's what it was. I felt like, okay, well, I'm gonna get whatever monetary support I can get, and that's that. And I'm really grateful with how the way it went with my daughter, and just even I think that my daughter is the amazing, beautiful, spirited, driven, magical unicorn of a being
Right.
because of what she had in her environment, what she was raised around, like who raised her, what mindset she was impression that was impressed upon her. Like I love that about her. I don't know what her mindset would have been if it was a dual partnership thing with he and I.
Right.
Like, I don't know who she'd be if I wasn't the primary influence on her. You
You
know?
love the finished product of the journey you and your daughter took together.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a beautiful woman and she has a beautiful spirit and she's kind and loving and giving
Right.
and and that those are values that matter in a person. That stuff matters. So, yeah. This
That's
has been
real.
cool. This has been cool, man. Thanks.
You touched on a lot of things that what I mean opened my mind and touched my heart as well. So I feel like it's so many gems that's been dropped in this interview that I can go back and listen to because that's how I look at every interview, every podcast. I feel like it's first my daughters they're subscribed on their tablets and stuff, so it's a way for them to go back and just be able to look at me and pick up whatever expressions or whatever. They get excited for this type of stuff.
That's beautiful. How old,
But
what's the ages of your daughters?
I have an 8 year old, a 7 year old. She's about to be 4, and about to be 1. My youngest daughter is 11 months. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, she's gonna be 1 at the end of this month.
That's so beautiful. You still got plenty of time, man. Get in there, you know?
Yeah, I'm just trying to do what I gotta do.
Whatever
You
you
know
can
what I mean?
do,
To
right.
better this situation for them and to create a better legacy and just try to, get them a better life that I didn't have growing up. So
Absolutely.
I just pray that it all falls in place, and with hard work and dedication and faith, I feel like it'll happen for me.
Yeah, I have a saying, everything is always working out for me. And so I just say that all the time. I literally say that all the time. I have it on my wall.
Do you paint, or like
No, I wrote that. I just have really good handwriting.
you never do like sipping paints?
I did one sip and paint. I just did my first one actually, and this looks nothing like, because I didn't know it wasn't gonna have no type of guidance. It was just a picture for me to look at. So this was supposed to be like a half moon, half something. It turned into a dream catcher.
Okay. I like the fact that it's on that wooden board like that.
Yeah, so the board actually came like this.
Oh.
So I had to paint this illusion.
Yeah, I
I
see
had
what
to
you
paint.
I'm thinking it's like
No,
that. The
this is
wood
an
is
illusion. This
already.
is paint. So this is white and brown paint. And like you can even see here that this isn't a real nail because it's like kind of off.
I couldn't tell where to find her.
Yeah. So I had to like give the illusion of a wood plank with the paint.
So tell me, like, what's like how the support, like, what I mean, from your husband with your career, like.
Oh, he's very supportive. My husband has been my number one fan. Well, my mom is my number one fan, but my husband and my sister is probably my number two fan. So my husband's my number three fan for sure. But they're all up there number one fans. Like my husband has been down for the home team since day one. He's the brunt of a lot of my jokes, and I feel so bad sometimes because he gets it hard. But that's the dynamic when you're in a house with somebody all the time and you guys are rubbing up against each other mentally. It's like, this is what I want to talk about on stage because this shit is pissing me off, right? It's like that's
Right,
where it
right, right.
goes. But he's amazing. He's amazing. He's supportive. He's communicative. And he's willing. Like I think in mates we try to find the perfect mate. Oh, just this person that understands me, blah blah blah. And it's really not about that. I feel like there's something to be said about a willingness, a person that is willing to grow, a person that is willing to change, a person that is willing to introspect, a person that is willing to have the hard
Growth.
conversations, a
Growth.
person that willingness is really what it's about. They may not be there yet, but their willingness to get there is really what makes a
And the
partnership.
transparency, and just
Yeah,
the
that's what makes it
communication
what
you
it
guys
is.
have.
The willingness. If you got somebody that say, like I used to, when we first met early on, I kind of had this, and I don't think I really ever was this way, but I would just out of regurgitation and be like, well, I am who I am, right? And I never really felt connected to that statement of I am who I am because
Right.
that's so restrictive. It's like I am who I was. That was who I was at that time, but I am different. I am growing. I am becoming something new every day. Like every day I wake up, I got new experiences that have been processed overnight through my dream world, and
Right.
you know what I mean. It's like so I am not who I am. I am becoming all the time, and so that willingness is super important in a partnership because if I'm just with somebody that's like I am who I am, well, I'm like, damn, bro, I don't want to be with the same dude I met 16 years ago and I've
Right.
evolved so much.
So
Like
he's
that's
been basically growing and
we both grown
evolving with you
together. Yeah,
together.
we evolved together. I remember when I first met my husband, he didn't believe in self-help books. Like he would not read. He was like, what do I need somebody else help? Like he was adamant about it. I remember being at our wedding and being in like the pool room and my cousin and I talking about this self-help book and him like being really strong minded on saying that stuff don't work, it don't make sense, blah blah blah. I remember it was like such a deep conversation. And now today he'll be like, babe, did you read that book back? So, oh man, it got some good, like he's like on it. He will read a self-help book or a memoir and he'll take pieces away
Who's your
from it.
favorite author?
Oh, my favorite author is Bell Hooks for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Bell Hooks, All About Love, Ain't I Woman, what else? I love a lot of her stuff. Her, I got a few different ones though. I love one of my favorite books is The Alchemist. I also love Don Miguel Ruiz. He has a lot like the Four Agreements and what else has he written? I'm trying to look around my room at what other book. The Circle of Fire. Don Miguel Ruiz has written. Yeah, these are all some really dope people as far as authors.
I just wanted to add that into my notes. You know what I mean? Just so I can
Yeah.
take it a little bit more from this.
Yeah.
But thank you, Kellye. I
No
don't want to
problem,
hold you up
man.
all day because I'm long winded. I can sit here and talk to you all day. So I
I
appreciate your
know.
time and sitting down on this podcast with me and giving me an opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
No problem. Of course. Thanks for having me. This was great.
Is there any last things or any shout outs you want to give to anyone before we go?
Yeah, people can just support me by going to my website, kellyhoward.com. It's KELLYEHOWARD.com, or my non-for-profit that I am the executive director of called Messing Around. And it's all about finding joy and ease in living with an autoimmune disease. And that is at messingaround.org. MSING around AROUND.org. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye bye.